Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How's everybody doing out there on this President's Day, Trump Day, whatever you want to call it? Hope you're doing well. Let me know if there's a lag. Apparently, the opening took, I don't know, if there's a delay and stuff on Pilled or whatever. I'm just noticing that it took like a minute and a half
Took
to
me a
like
while to
start.
find it.
Yeah, and I'm like, what?
Couldn't
Is it
find the
working
show.
now? Is it working
I'm on
now?
It's on now, yeah, it's working on my
Okay,
phone,
it's
yeah.
just probably there was a delay. It happens sometimes with the internet or something. So
X
just let
was
me know
off
if it
too
is.
today too, so,
X was off today. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Or
Rumble seems to be fine, and YouTube I'm looking at right now. So welcome to the show. Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to my co-host Marshall Smith. What's up?
well, I tell you, it's kind of a somber day and a little bit for me. One of my favorite actors, Robert Duvall, died,
Yeah,
and I love that guy. He was a
95 years
real
old, man.
yeah, but he
Dude,
was a
his
real
first role was in To Kill a Mockingbird. He was Boo Radley.
crazy, man.
Most
But the
people
guy
don't
was a
know.
great
You see
actor. I
that?
mean,
Yeah,
he
he was
was a
great.
real
Yeah,
dude. He was, like, right up there with John Wayne and all
yeah,
those
he was
people.
fantastic. He's been in a lot of good movies. Apocalypse Now, obviously The Godfather 1 and 2. I mean, it's some great movies that he was in. What's up, MJ? MG615 Naw Dog. What's up? True Terran. How you doing? Welcome over here on Rumble. Let's see who was over here on nobody's over here on YouTube yet, but if you are and you go over there, that's fine. Let me know how it's working. It seems like there's a glitch out there. Curious Cat said that. So I don't know if there is or not. Something is in the works right now. There is ghosts in the machine. So we're going to follow that. But if you are over there on YouTube, please share and like. That's important. Or subscribe as well. Welcome in, pill.net. How's everybody doing over here? Who's here tonight? Sausage Launcher, Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. The early bird, I like that. Wood USA, 217 gold pills. Thank you for the donation. Let's see. Trump won. How you doing? Happy President's Day to you. Let's see. Who else? Yes, I see the glitch. It is noticeable. What's up, Trusty Turnup? Yeah, if you're having glitches, let me know. Let me know if we're okay. If there's anything in there, like I said, the ghost in the machine, if things are squirrely, you know, just give me a holler. I don't know what happened there, but it seemed like there was a long pause. So tonight's show, what's in a name on a list? So apparently they released a lot of the, I guess, the last remaining amount of the Epstein list. We're going to cover that, but there's something I want to really go into that's really more off that. We're just going to glance over that. I'm not going to get into it, but what's in a name on a list? Zero had something that was pointing out about all these oddities of these names on there, which we're going to cover. And I want to really like go into it. So just a filmmaker, that's what Bannon says. He breaks his silence to the New York Times. A lot of rags picked it up. We're going to cover that. Division versus Betrayal. We're going to get into some of that and how you feel about it, because there's some people that can't walk away from this. They can't walk away from it. They can't walk away from what he said, regardless whether you think he's a mole or not. We'll get into his, just the way he's thinking, feeling, whatever. And maybe next year or the end of this year, we'll see some of that film documentary that he said he's supposedly going to put out. So please like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. If you want to help out the platform, you could do so as well. buymecoffee.com/wearerise. You can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. Hit the bell to be notified. Let me know any thoughts, any questions. Let's hear them. Let's go. So starting off tonight, this dropped, I guess, Saturday evening. And I'm not going to go through it. I think everybody's aware of it per se, but it starts the headline here. Pam Bondi releases the full list of the files. So Justin Bondi, this was Saturday. The full list of the 3.5 million pages dropped. If you believe that, you think about, so it dropped what they have, they're releasing. There's no video footage. There's no other stuff that's supposedly that they have. This just dropped. No records withheld or redacted. So that's it. So, and meanwhile, you have Ro Khanna and then you have Thomas Massey misspeaking, talking about names that aren't on the list and trying to, usurp or go around Pam Bondi. And so Bondi drops all this stuff. So puts them in a let's just say a bind or a pickle, because now they name names of people that are not in the list and they look like schmucks. But they're also paid in some way behind the scenes to cover this up or move this forward in a different, because it's all about getting Trump, and they lost. They didn't get Trump at all. So here it is, the 3.5 million. There's a bunch of names. Just AG dropped all, no records withheld, redacted based on embarrassment, reputational harm, political sensitivity, any official, public, what have you, foreign dignitary. The backfired bigly in the left. Powerful Dems like Bill Clinton mentioned 1,193 times. Others busted. I'm not going to go into Alex Jones. Kaboom just in. Pondy released it all. I think everybody gets the gifs. I'm not really going to go through it. Here's all the names. Announced Transparency Act. There's a lot of names in there. JD Vance is in there. Okay. You've got a lot of people in there. We're going to break this down. Yeah, look at these names. I don't know. Let me see if I could blow it up. I don't know if you saw it, but probably not. But there's a lot of names in. Dershowitz is in there. Comey's in there. Kurt Cobain's in there. Why is Kurt Cobain in there? You have names in there. Mick Jagger. Look at this. Rotten Box Clinton. There's just a Jeb Bush. Wow. I mean, it's just because your name's in there, does that mean you did anything wrong? And I think that was the point of the discussion about this, because I think a lot of people overlook the idea just because your name is tied into it. That's what tonight's show is. What's in a name on a list? And we're going to get to it because I think something is off here. It's not a client list, it's not a blacklist, or some indicator of guilt by association. And I think that is the problem we're facing. Think about the names that I'm going to show you. Marilyn Monroe, well, she's been dead. Janis Joplin, she's been dead. Kurt Cobain, it's way before. MJ, Michael Jackson, Princess Diana. Well, what do all those names have in common? We're going to get to that. We're actually going to be discussing the non-criminal context and the peripheral that sits on the bubble of this. And why does it have meaning? Well, let's go into it. Let me show you this right now. And then we'll get Marshall's thoughts about how he feels about this. But what do Monica Lewinsky, Margaret Thatcher, she's been dead for how long? Okay, I'm going to blow this up. Now, some of these articles that I blow up, that I may be able to, the problem is they don't fit the screen per se. There's a couple of them from the last. I have one for the Last Refuge, which is a good one, but it's going to be in small because I can't really blow it up too much because it cuts off the screen. So in the alleged interest transparency, A.G. Bondi and Todd Blanche released a statement overnight that included all the list of government officials. Department of Justice sent over a letter to Congress outlining why it made redactions. The six-page letter also includes a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons in the file. The term politically exposed, we're going to explain this, was not defined in the act, but consistent with Section 3 of the act, department reviewers were directed to notate all government officials and politically exposed persons named and referenced in any document. This includes a variety of different directed by the act. They are or were a government official or politically exposed person, and their name appears in the files under the act. The name appears in the files released. So let's start with this, okay? Before I go through all the names, why would Marilyn Monroe, she's been dead for how long? 40-some years, close to that? Why would she be here in this? Why would her name appear in this in some way? That's something to think about. Again, I throw this. Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, well, he was murdered. Michael Jackson, he was murdered. Princess Diana, well, she was murdered. Or manslaughtered out, whatever you want to call it. We still don't even know the truth about that. Was Marilyn Monroe murdered? Absolutely. So what do they have in common other than that they all had skeptical deaths perceived as suicides, except for Princess Diana? Janis Joplin was a heroin addict, right? So you could say she got some lace junk that were bad. Elvis Presley, well, he's been dead since the 70s. And he supposedly died of a drug overdose. See what I'm saying here? So I said the mere mention, the ominously or trivial as it sounds, with such abstract, profuse speculations abound. What a wide variety of contexts that links these together. It is an odd sort of thing that the names that I've mentioned that you were connecting here and trying to figure out why these people would be named in this in some way. Marilyn worked for the CIA. Bingo. Did Elvis Presley work as an informant? Maybe. How about MJ? Was Princess Diana talking to somebody about the royals? Was she trying to get out and get her sons out? I don't know about Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, but there is a causal connection. We're going to go through those. These are the names here. I'm not going to go through them all. You'll see the names and stuff. There's Jeb Bush, Dick Cheney, Michael Cohen, blah, 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 Dershowitz, Epstein, whatever. Lindsey Graham. There he goes in there. Orrin Hatch. How about that one? Like I said, there's no discussion about who these people, they're just in there. Again, it's the 6 degrees of desperation. Not a blacklist, not an indicator of guilt, by association or for association. We just don't know. Larry Kudlow, Ted Lieu. Look at all these people in here. I mean, there's a shit ton, but the names that stand out, and again, this is what the article is talking about. The list contains hundreds of names spanning politicians, celebrities, business leaders, historical figures, deceased individuals, and others, but leans somewhat left overall due to the inclusion of numerous Democrat politicians and Hollywood figures. Left align approximately 130 to 150. That's Democrat politicians, entertainers, donors. Right align approximately 90 to 110. Strong Republican politicians, recent big money conservative donors, and unclear about the others, the remainder historical, foreign, or non-political figures. And I thought that was an interesting overview, but why are they focused on that? I think Zero Edge is basically saying it is odd indeed. Monica Lewinsky, Margaret Thatcher, Cher, well, we know Bill Cosby. The Pope have in common? How about that? Which Pope? Pope Francis? Pope John II? Paul II? A lot of like connections here. Are we to suggest that these names that proliferate in the Epstein drops are those who were murdered, faked their deaths supposedly, and were outliers, exceptions to the rules, anomalies, aberrations? I don't know. But it just seems to me in some way that it's off kilt to suggest that there's not a reason or a consequence that they wanted to lump these people in there. Were they government informers? How about that one, Marshall? What say you?
Well, some of the names like Kurt Cobain or whatever, some of these others that obviously did not go to the island, some of these names could have been mentioned in emails. They could have been, they could have been mentioned in probably really in that type of way. And that's how their name pops up. Informants, yeah, Marilyn Monroe for sure. If he had said, CIA, honeypot and all that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, Princess Diana, yeah, I would say so.
How about Michael Jackson's connection to Donald Trump, President Trump? Princess Diana's connection to President Trump. What I'm saying is there is an odd coincidence of names that are in there. Nacian says there's no clarity, just names. Well, yeah, it's not an indication of guilt or association or guilt by association, not at least for the names we're naming. But it is an odd coincidence in some way that these names would drop in here with the recent discussion of what we're talking about. So again, I'll ask everybody out there, shall we suggest that these names proliferate that are in the Epstein drops are those of murdered, tortured, faked, who faked their deaths, were outliers, exceptions to the rule, anomalies in some way, that they're aberrations inside of here, or do their names carry weight? That is, again, what I'm trying to preface here for people to follow along what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to learn more and more about the detail of this. One of the biggest things from this whole drop was that it definitely disappointed and really upset the left because they didn't get what they thought they were going to get.
And what was that?
Probably Trump and all kinds of stuff like that. And, I guess Trump's team and Bondi or whatever, they probably just said, you know what, just dump all, just give them all this,
Just move on with this in some way.
Let them have their catnip, which is to me what it is.
Okay, so that's fair enough. I mean, look, I'm just saying I want you to ponder on the idea of what is taking place. Why would Elvis Presley be in there? Some people speculate he's still alive. Michael Jackson, Princess Diana. I mean, these are names that say this. We just got the revelation that Kurt Cobain was murdered. Okay? So when you consider the names that are in here in some way, how are they inextricably linked to the government as either informers or what have you? Is that to say that there's a lot of people that are in here that were working as informers? It's possible. I don't know about Monica Lewinsky. I think she could have been a spy for Israel. I think she was working for somebody. That's why they got Think about it in some way. I mean, who leaked that information out? We all know that story about Lewinsky. She told a friend, and that friend, blah, 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 spilled the beans on this, but I think she was working for somebody else. And this was all connected to that. So, moving on. So here we go. Mega Kitty puts this out. Dan Bongino calls out Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, and Steve Bannon. We're going to get to Bannon. A lot of Bannon. Bongino and Epstein thing, too. There were a lot of people mentioned in here. I don't jump to conclusions on anyone. But if you're Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, you know. Let's listen to this.
And, oh, by the way, back to, sorry, I didn't mean to miss this too. On the Epstein thing as well, there are a lot of people mentioned in there. I always got kind of annoyed that people didn't give us, the opportunity to get out and explain before they had jumped to conclusions. I don't jump to conclusions on anyone. But if you're Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, Bannon or others out there, then, I'm not jumping to conclusions on anything. However, I've spent 4 shows now explaining what we did and why. It's up to you. If you agree with it, don't agree with it, like it or don't. It's fair game. I'm fair game, was a public figure. But people called for transparency, and now you got it. So, now it's your turn.
And now people are walking away and saying it's not transparent enough. The black pillars are out there freaking out. There's like, we learned nothing. We got nothing. Nobody's going to be charged. No one's going to be hung. There's not going to be any indictments. All this stuff was for what? To satisfy, to soothe someone's what? Hemorrhoid on their ass. Multiple hemorrhoids, probably. But did this do anything to change our opinion? Did we learn more? I mean, well, we learned about Bannon a lot more. Did we learn about other people per se? Yeah, I would say so. I think it's there. The email changed. We know that there are a lot of people out there or conversations that Epstein was having or emails that were transcribed as not so good. Eating babies, curing meats of skin, human skin, cannibalism, adrenochrome, fucking some dark shit. So, yeah. But again, a lot of people are saying, but what does this really do? Does this change everything? No, I think it takes it to another level. And I said, we have to go to the next level. They're talking, we're going to get to about the former ranch in New Mexico, which is now the San Rafael Ranch. It's not the Zorro Ranch anymore. Talk about that the new owners might capitulate to a reasonable investigation of an excavation and stuff, where over the weekend he said no, and now he's changed his mind. He's a Trump donor, by the way. Trump donor that bought this guy. And he's from Texas. It was a comptroller. Question is, what did he purchase there at the San Rafael? Did he purchase underground? I mean, what is it that he doesn't want people to see? Now he's coming around saying, no, we got to, I'm going to what? I'm going to go along with this in some way. Okay. How long? We're going to cover that, but I want to get into that. So go ahead, Marshall. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, you haven't brought up the fines buying the ranch. You haven't got that article yet.
No.
Right. So I'll get into that later. The Steve Bannon thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm before I go. I'm always very wary about when the dogpiling starts happening.
Yeah.
And when I'm not defending him. I'm going to stay neutral. But I want to know who the people are that are going after him and what reasons would they have. And if they don't really have any, then Steve Bannon could be in some trouble here.
Right.
So,
well, the administrator, we're going to cover that. We haven't gone to that yet. So hold on a second. We'll get to that.
All right.
We got plenty of time to talk about Bannon. Okay.
Right.
Whether you think seriously, we'll have plenty of time to really strip this down. So Shadow Ezra puts this out. An investigation has found that the Department of Justice released just 2% of the materials the FBI seized from Epstein's properties. The report says Epstein's electronic devices, including computers, hard drives, and servers, are largely missing from the files made public. How about that? Includes 3 million and even 6 million figures shared with the public represent only a fraction what authorities actually possess. You were going to get as much transparency as you wanted. Is this just another level of Bindergate? No, You got email chains, you got corroboration on that, you got a better window of understanding of what the binder people did and all the fake people, and that's that was the misdirect, and they did that on purpose. But let's listen to this. This was an interesting thing I found, and I want you to ponder on why you're not seeing all this level of servers and drives and missing files. They're not going to show you this because there's a great possibility that a lot of this stuff shows you in detail the horrific nature of what was taking place on these areas.
Channel 4 News investigation today reveals that all those pictures, emails, videos and messages released by the Department of Justice, said to be over 3 million pages, may amount to just a fraction of the Epstein material obtained by investigators.
Why do we think that? Because these raids on Epstein's properties, his Florida mansion in 2005, and his fancy New York townhouse and sprawling luxury island in 2019 saw dozens of devices, computers, hard drives, and servers bagged and tagged and brought to FBI offices for examination. Now, emails examined by Channel 4 News show investigators discussing those very devices. From the earliest stages, investigators were talking about Epstein's data totaling many, many times what has so far been released. In June 2020, one wrote, "We expect the data to be somewhere around 20 to 40 terabytes," noting that the total capacity of the devices was up to 50 terabytes. Then, as recently as last year, long after the investigations into Epstein and his associates had ended, the figures quoted remained massive. We're looking at a total of approximately 14.6 terabytes of archived data, said another email. To put that in context, it is almost 15,000 gigabytes. But now, a year on from that, the total data released, claimed to be some 300 gigabytes, accounts for just 2% of the total Epstein data that officials were discussing just last year. Under the Epstein Act, DOJ attorneys had to look through all files to find any responsive material that related to Epstein, his networks, and crimes. They claimed that 6 million pages had been identified, including duplicates. They released over 3 million. Both those numbers are tiny compared to the amount collected, according to today's emails.
So, what's your thoughts about that? I mean, clearly they are holding on to a lot more stuff, and that information is probably going to be kept for future indictments if they're going to be. It's probably more detailed, more prolific. I mean, there's video there. I mean, I can't imagine them releasing that, especially if they're trying to build cases that everybody wants people to be indicted for. So, I mean, yeah, Tracer C4, I understand your frustration, but listen, let me just say this. Yeah, I know Kimmel and Colbert, and there's scumbags in there. But you got to understand, this whole thing with Bannon and the email chain and what he said, this is completely different. We know who Kimmel is and Colbert is, okay? But the way Bannon was speaking about President Trump in these email chains go far beyond anything. And that's why people are pissed. You saw Michael Flynn come out. General Flynn came out and said, if these things are true about trying to 25th them, well, then he needs to be held and subpoenaed, and Congress needs to ask him questions. Okay. You have many other people coming out swinging. This is completely different than Colbert and Kimmel. All right. The way he's projecting himself in some way. And Bannon was addressing his email and his email connection in a very different way. And I'm going to explain it to rather quickly because we're going to go into the Mediaite here. And look, this is where things are going to start to really break down. A lot of people have a problem with this. And, you know, you need to consider what's really going on. Thank you, Hogleg 71 for the cookie, Thea for the cookie. Thank you, Thea, for the 900 gold pills. Who's not in there? Yeah, exactly. And it's not, that's not the relevance here. Yeah, that all the TV shows are only taking about the Guthrie stuff. I mean, obviously, I mean, you saw a lot of people talking about that. The Guthrie thing is a distraction. She's in Mexico. It's a burglary now. It's a distraction about Epstein. That's what it's about. brace yourself, because I think a false flag attack is coming, because they released everything they had with names in it. And those names were, like I said, whether you want to connect the dots or not, hurts them because Europe is going on a chopping block and excavation themselves and just hunting down all these people with the 6 degrees of desperation, firing people, indicting people, arresting people. So where does that play into here? We've been a little bit more softer about how we're looking. It's a little bit more muted. So Bannon told Jeffrey Epstein Trump should be removed by the 25th Amendment. This is really what this bothers people. Bannon, the MAGA media mogul, served as the White House chief strategist at the outset of President Trump's first term, told Epstein, the late sex criminal, who planned to make a friendly documentary, that Trump should be removed from office. Bannon is coming under fire for a wide variety of critics, including conservatives. In recent days, documents released by the Department of Justice revealed on the very day Epstein was arrested on charge of sex trafficking in July of 2019, he was texting with Bannon about the aforementioned documentary. Wow. A few months before that, Bannon advised Epstein, first we need to push back on the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Now, yet another text exchange between the two men from December 31st, 18 is attracting attention. Hell of a year. Next will be biblical. We either own 19 or it will surely own us. I'm back at F&B Biz Only. F&B director? No, it does not stand for fucking and whatever that means. Spoke to my Dems this weekend. Boy, our emotions running high. Bannon going to blow them up right now out of our box. White has zero plan to punch back. Fort Apache with no cavalry en route and no soldiers in the fort. He really is borderline. Not sure what they may do. I think he's beyond borderline. 25th Amendment. Wow. Bannon, who presents himself as a loyal supporter. See, that's the argument here. Okay. A loyal supporter that goes off and you know, that he rails against the elite, that he's anti-elite in some way, that he goes against, you know, Musk and all these other people, these tech oligarchs and the tech bros, as he likes to call them. He portrays himself as a man of the people. But is he a man of the people? Trump is going to be president in 28, and people ought to just get a comment in it. Bannon told The Economist last fall. And at the appropriate time, we will lay out what the plan is. Republican Congressman MTG, a longtime Bannon ally, called her friend out for the relationship with Epstein on Monday. So there you go. She's a hypocrite as well. So I completely agree. Steve Bannon went to jail for Trump, and I was there. But back in January 19, 2019, after Dems took the House, he was texting with Epstein about the 25th Amendment. Also, there's no excuse for having such a friendly relationship with Epstein post-conviction, 2018 and 19. Well, I mean, he's claiming he was doing a documentary, and then he was popped the same day that they were going to move forward with this. The White House, or at least the DOJ, needs to come out and say what the plan on doing with this information. I remember all the 25th Amendment talk back then in the first term. It was really ugly. If Bannon and Epstein were behind it, Bannon needs to be brought in for questioning, as he needs to. Yeah, I think he does. I think he does have to respond to this. Did he ever think that no one was going to read this stuff? Did he ever think that these emails were going to get out in some way? Responding to Flynn's assertion that if Bannon and Epstein were behind it, Bannon needs to be brought for questioning. Green wrote agree completely. Steve Bannon went to jail for Trump. Okay. Also, there's no excuse for having such a friendly relationship with Epstein. I got more. Marshall, I have to tell you right now, how this appears and how this looks is not good. It's not good for Bannon. And, you know, look, Bannon comes out and says this. Let me just preface this, because he says, I am a filmmaker and a TV host with decades of experience interviewing controversial figures. That's the only lens through which these private communications should be viewed. A documentary filmmaker working over a period of time to secure 50 hours of interviews from a reclusive subject. So are these emails lost in translation? Will the 2026 documentary, as perceived by Steve Bannon, when that drops, will this lay waste to this dogma, this myth? Did Bannon truly hate the elite? Or did he envy them? Was he bedazzled by them, bewitched by them, awestruck by them? Was he a fanboy? Or was it the role that he was playing? This self-righteous indignation, this toxic emotional trance of moral superiority, it's bothersome to me. It is, because the emails basically say what they are. And if Bannon is basically choosing some type of supposition, some type of argument to suggest that you have to read them in the context of how this was playing out, well, then explain how it's playing out. We have to wait for the drop in some way? Is that what we're talking about, Marshall?
If he was trying to cozy up and win over, like, trust with Epstein so that he could get what he wanted, I could see that. But he absolutely needs to address this. Right. And I do believe that he should be brought forward in some kind of a hearing, Congress, whatever. And he needs to answer all these questions. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he's cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that simple.
Well, that's my point. Again, Rav has not pulled them back, just like someone was saying about Colbert and Kimmel. I think you were saying at Tracer C4. And so I understand that. But they're not being pulled off the air. They're still on there. I mean, Colbert is leaving. Kimmel, I think they gave him another year. So, look, what I'm suggesting here is that look at how this is being portrayed in the media. If you're going to say you're a man of the people and you're anti this and anti that and rail against the elites, and yet behind the scenes, you're saying things duplicitously about the president, we have a problem here. Now, I can't blow this up too much because let me see if I can a little bit, because maybe that's it, because I got to make sure it doesn't run off, because the way this was printed up and how this goes through. So I'll just read it as I go, as I can. Through the years, I didn't realize this comes from The Last Refuge. This was good. And I'm going to drop it in the chat. I didn't realize I didn't have much of a opinion about Steve Bannon. I think many people felt the same way. They were off. We used the term con ink quite a bit because of Prosobic and many other people around it. But as for Bannon, he was kind of one of those question marks. I approached any story of interest that surrounded him by simply looking at the factual details of the current event in question. CTH well understood that Bannon and subsequently his expressed opinion and objective was simply an outcome of his position, downstream from the billionaire of the moment who paid him. In essence, Steve Bannon always seemed to be much more like Kellyanne Conway. That's a good example. An advocate for whoever who was financing from him. From Robert, Rebecca Mercer at Breitbart forward to any other endeavor thereafter. It just always appeared to me that said that the release of the Epstein files, the relationship between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein is something of CTH, and did not expect that. Bannon and Epstein were very close and talked to each other about seemingly, hold on, let me say it because I can't, about seemingly everything. Let me scroll down here. Oh, the way they write this and put this up. I can never unsee what I've read. Nor will CTH ever entertain the possibility that Bannon was ever a good element within the MAGA effort. There was a solid argument made that Bannon War Room was funded or organized by the files. Let's see, funded and organized in the funding mechanisms by Jeffrey Epstein. Ooh. How about that one? The files of the messages between them contain some shocking stuff happening in the background while Steve Bannon was very close proximity to candidate President Trump. The level of disdain Bannon had for Donald Trump's family and Donald Trump himself is really something CTH did not expect to see. Okay. I am left to wonder how much of vitriol against Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, the Javanka hatred, actually originate from the brain trust of Bannon and the assembly of people in his administration. However, applied to the first batches of the filing, Steve Bannon may have been focused on the financial gains and perhaps networks of people in his association with Epstein, but he certainly got deep into it, expressed extreme praise for Epstein, and even going so far as to call him a god. How about that? The level of expressed skullduggery that has been going on for years in the background is very unsettling to accept. And I say that a person who doesn't customarily get shocked by duplicity, this is not by division. This is about something more akin to betrayal. This is an excellent point. While putting on a MAGA face for the War Room broadcast in the background, Bannon was actually plotting and advising ways to eliminate Donald Trump from the Republican politics. This is the Brutus level disloyalty. Even accepting a guy has no moral compass other than his bank account. I can never unsee what I've seen. And there's always been some weird stuff in the exchanges about the contextual things from the past years. As an example, in one set of text messages, Bannon and Epstein were discussing Patrick Byrne, who is now part of the Emlyn Robinson Michael Flynn network. Bannon notes in 18 that Byrne told him that he was working for the CIA, and apparently Bannon did not believe him. Okay, and there's those. It says this is the same number in 2000 and the same in November 2018. Exchange messages between Epstein and his advising Bannon how to set up a media network, maximize privacy structure, financing, and eliminate the problems with transparency. Whoa. Now that's the question. Who funded it? This is the origin of what would less than a year later become Bannon's War Room on a Real Voice of America. Did Jeffrey Epstein provide a seed capital to assist on this for Bannon's startup? That question isn't clear, but sheesh, the creepy irony of the possibility is really over the top. I guess in the big scheme of things, considering all potential creepy stuff, that is far more consequential to the Epstein files release. The relationship with Bannon is not at the top of the issues concerned. However, God, I hate doing this. However, the relationship reading how much they both hated MAGA is just so deflating. The way they wrote this and put this up here does not fit the actual screen. He says, just now we reevaluate everyone who openly, frequently, and willingly associated themselves with Bannon on the War Room, including Julie Kelly, Mike Davis, Jack Posobiec, Lara Logan, John Solomon. Do you don't like John Solomon now? Laura Loomer, or Larry Loomer, Harmeet Dillon, and so many others. Did they know about Bannon and Epstein Network? How about Charlie Kirk? How about TPUSA that he would do events for? He didn't throw that in there. So I think this is something that we should consider. This is a great article. I apologize that it's written like it's like on a fucking typewriter that was written off page and stuff. I mean, whatever. Marshall, your thoughts? I'm dropping this in the chat. Please read this. You'll understand this when you go through this contextually. You will start to have a real discussion about Steve Bannon and whether he's loyal or not. And ask yourself this: why is President Trump and the administration right now, the DOJ, going forward about alleviating him of his rest? This is a 4-month arrest because of January 6th to get that vacated, and they're bringing that before the Supreme Court. What does that tell you? That's two different viewpoints over this. Are they basically saying after this we're done with you? Is that what we're saying? Because you went to jail for President Trump? Or is this a clear understanding of what we're seeing, what this last refuge article is talking about, is that all these people that are, let's just say that he brings on all the time, the 6 degrees of desperation. Do you have a problem with that, Marshall? I mean, yeah, I think there's something to be disconcerting about. Julie Kelly, Mike Davis, what do you think about them? Lara Logan, John Solomon. John Solomon's a good reporter. Old eyeballs are hell, Brett. Well, no, it's the way it's, I know. You can read the article. It's just the way the font is, the writing, and it's kind of like someone just went off on a typewriter.
Like an IBM typewriter or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I put it in the chat. You can read yourself, but this is a great article. I had to go back and go move it around and go like this. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Anyway.
The feel I got from this, Brett, is if he ends up being, which I have a hard time, but I'll go with it. If it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. We don't know yet. Mm-hmm. But if he ends up being guilty of not being loyal and being this guy that they're portraying and this stuff that we're reading, it's the way I would feel about Susie Wiles. I don't trust her. I never have. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel almost like that.
She wasn't in the email chain.
No, I understand that.
She hasn't said anything negative about President Trump. I mean,
yeah, but
so
she
looks good coming out of this, smelling good.
Well, okay, I won't compare him to her, but I've always have been kind of suspicious or wary of her. Leave it. Other than that, he's got to do something. He's got to say, I understand Trump won. You said the hearings don't ever come. This is not about really a hearing. It's about listening to what he has to say about it. It's
Right.
not about, I don't care if it's congressional hearings or some interview on a stage, whatever. He's got to get before, as he would say, he's got to stand in front of the sticks
Mhm.
and explain himself. Do a press conference, whatever. Let people ask all these questions, and you stand up there like a big boy and you answer them.
Well,
That's
this
what
is
I think should
he
happen.
comes out. Now, see, this is the point. All those people that come on Rav, on his show, on the War Room, that we just named, are they all paid shills? I mean, do you think John Solomon is bad in some way? I would have never thought that at all. I thought he's been pretty. He's got the, inside baseball skinny on a lot of stuff, and he's reported well. So I would leave him out of that. Mike Davis, I don't know. I don't know. He's always got some reasonable things to say. Smart
I think
constitutionalist.
he's-
I don't have a
he's
problem
all
with that. Julie Kelly, she's okay. Yeah, Lara
The
Logan,
others.
whatever.
The
Laura
others.
Loomer, Larry Loomer, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Jack Posobiec,
Posobiec? No.
no way. He's in
Fuck that
the.
guy.
We're told in the Q drops not to trust that guy. So when you really
Yeah,
think about
I
it,
don't trust
does
him at
President
all.
Trump keep these people close that are typically his enemy? I don't know where we are with Bannon, but it doesn't look good at all. And you know what? He should be answering for these things.
Yeah,
There
he
should be
should.
people calling and stuff in some way. And I'm surprised. Again, you'll get movement if Rav does something. But if this whole capital venture capitalist scenario was set up by Epstein to get him there for this show, look out. Look out. His stock would drop instantly. Not good at all. And that's probably what the argument is supplanting in some way from the last refuge, that the idea that there was kindling to this in some way. We just don't know if we could prove it yet, or it hasn't been proven yet to suggest that. So what happened? War Room host and former Trump White House strategist Bannon has addressed his appearance in the Jeffrey Epstein files. Who was involved, Bannon and Epstein, where February 2026, key quote, "I'm a filmmaker and a TV host with decades of experience interviewing controversial figures. That's the only lens so which the private communication should be viewed." Okay. Bannon intends to release a documentary exposing Epstein this year. War Room and host Trump White House chief strategist Bannon has addressed his appearance in the Epstein files and confirmed the upcoming release of a documentary on a deceased pedophile. Bannon, an American First stalwart, exchanged many texts with Epstein in the months before his death in federal custody. "I'm a filmmaker, TV host, what have you." That's the only lens you should view these private communications. That should be viewed. A documentary filmmaker working over a period of time to secure 50 hours of interviews. Documentary spending time with subjects they intend to cover critically is not uncommon. Famously, Martin Bashir was recorded comforting Michael Jackson and telling him he was a wonderful father before the release of 2003 documentary Living with Michael Jackson, which ultimately portrayed the singer in a highly negative light. The spokesperson for Bannon confirmed that his interactions with Epstein were an attempt to ingratiate himself with him and for the documentary. Notably, Bannon argued strongly for the release of the Epstein files when it appeared that Pam Bondi was not going to disclose any meaningful new information, saying on the War Room show, if the DOJ can't move off the dime, the FBI can't move off the dime, then there should be a special counsel to go through everything and release it all. Bannon was one of the earliest and most steadfast supporters of President Trump during his first run for the presidency in 15 and 16 and spent 4 months in prison for contempt of Congress in 2024, refusing to testify before the corrupt January 6th committee after President Trump invoked executive privilege. But according to Roger Stone, he also threw Stone under the bus, which, there was a period of time that Stone was going to go to jail and they reduced his sentence, and then President Trump actually pardoned him. So we don't know the exchange of what it is, but Bannon had lied to cover his ass and threw Roger Stone under the bus, and Bill Barr reduced the sentence in some way. Then they basically were going to bring it to court, but he ended up pardoning him anyway. President Trump recently posted a photograph of Bannon on his Truth Social platform saying he was a very good guy, treated so unfairly by sleepy Joe Biden. The Trump Justice Department is currently seeking to have Bannon's conviction dismissed. What do you think about that? I'm not going to play this, but I mean, at one end, it's kind of odd. Is basically saying that's your farewell parting gift, so to speak? Or is there something more to this in some way? Because if it was true in everything that we're seeing and how this is being presented, and we're looking at it, as Bannon is pointing out, through a certain lens, a certain viewpoint. And again, I say, are these emails lost in translation? Are we not properly understanding what they mean? Because they sound pretty clear to me. And I don't know what role he was playing there as a documentary filmmaker to cozy up with this in some way. But it sounds like he got a little bedazzled and a little bewitched by Epstein in some way. And maybe that was his role. I don't know. But why would this administration want to automatically go to bat for him with the revelations coming out if you felt that Bannon has strayed away, pushed Ivanka and Jared away? And I don't know if that's a bad thing either.
Yeah, that part I agree.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that. I'm going to say I'm not a big fan of Jared or Ivanka per se.
Yeah.
I'm not them personally, but their politics. You know what I'm saying? She did lead the charge about addressing the trafficking in the first administration. And Jared Kushner's always got his hand in it and somewhere else in the pie of the Middle East somewhere. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this per se. It's just how it feels and how it smells in some way. How is a documentary going to showcase what Bannon? Is this going to put everything into context that you can understand? It's a test. It's a test of the emergency broadcast system. Marshall, I mean,
when did that point that Trump made at the very end there, where he defended Bannon?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was that recent? That was
no. The DOJ basically is the White House, and the DOJ is seeking to vacate his incarceration for January 6th that he went to jail for last year for 4 months.
Right.
Yeah. So whatever was a misdemeanor.
So that's recent then. So this whole thing is pretty recent.
But President Trump has not addressed this publicly. He has not spoke about this. There's not one word that came out of his mouth recently that I've been watching to see if he was going to cover. And no one has even pointed and asked that question to him yet, which I think is so weird, right?
Well, I mean, if Trump actually had kind of said that, I would think this sounds like a good cop, bad cop kind of setup. But he didn't say anything yet, like you just said. I will have to say that Sausage Lunky, you might have a point there, and we've always got to think about different things. This could be a setup for something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't know. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
we have many.
I don't have any proof to look. Understanding what the last refuge is saying, you cannot unsee what we're witnessing now.
Yeah.
That's the point of that. You should be outraged because it's true. It's on. You could see it. It was expressed. It was said. Do we lose sight of the context and how it applies here? I don't know. Was he working behind Trump's back? Was he cozying up to Epstein? Did Epstein lend him money? As Alita is saying, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible in some way. Is that problematic? I would say so.
He could have borrowed money from Trump, man.
I mean, yeah.
Trump would have gave him whatever.
Why borrow money from Epstein when you could borrow money from somebody else?
It almost feels like he could have been some type of a double agent where he's pretending to be one thing and he's actually another. We just don't know. I mean, and I'm not going to defend. Look, if the guy's guilty, I'll take it whatever way he goes, however it pans out. But there's so much going on with everything aside from Bannon that and when you're talking about super powerful people that can do a lot of bad things to people and never get touched. You're looking at a real, spy versus spy times on steroids. So we just have to just watch it and see what happens. I hope he does get up. I would like to see him spend an hour on his show just answering, go through it, answer all the let people send questions and answer them.
But
Work
what do you think this documentary, whenever it comes out,
Yeah, that sounds
is going to
something-
change people's viewpoint on how we see the exchange between him and Epstein? What is it going to be so profound that he says that it's going to destroy myths? What myths are you trying to destroy? That's what I understand. Your relationship, or you as a filmmaker discussing things with him in some way. And you're saying that we're not gleaning this because you have to get close and personal with this guy as you do this documentary. Okay. I mean, look, I said,
he's just got to explain. I mean, he can't just stay silent.
No, well, you saw MTG come out. You saw Michael Flynn come out.
MTG, I
mean,
she ain't got no room to talk, in my opinion.
No, she doesn't. She
should shut the fuck up
But she's not in the Epstein files, and she's not talking with Epstein post 2019. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's also not in politics anymore, but she likes to keep running her mouth. But anyway,
I know. Yeah, she wants to stay relevant, which
let's just see what he says, and he better get up and say something soon.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that that's the point of the last refuge. You can't unsee this, and this is problematic, and it makes you sick. If you could suggest in some way that this whole setup that was created as a narrative to rail against the elitists and to say that you're part of the working consortium, the working man and woman, and we're being attacked in all these ways when in some way you've been financially, let's just say, solvent with some other people's money to run your mouth on a show that is the antithesis of the platform that you stand by. That's the ultimate level of hypocrisy and opportunism. And I think that's where people are going. So Hillary Clinton says she is horrified what's in the Epstein files. You want to talk about another smug, pious hypocrite full of sanctimonious and seductive anger. The comment came after a woman told Hillary Clinton she was horrified at what she's seen in the Epstein files about the abuse of children by leaders. Clinton said she has a good record of calling for transparency, for no redactions to be made in the Epstein files. We'll see what happens. What the fuck?
The mother of a daughter, and it absolutely horrifies me to see what the Epstein files have brought out. And I wanted to ask you, what does it say about Western values when Western leaders have perpetuated and participated in these horrific
Look at her
abuses
eyes.
of minors and
She's like,
girls?
oh my God.
Thank you very much. We have gone everywhere from New Start to Epstein. Via some fundamental questions of the critique of rules-based order from the left, of civilization versus values, of conservatism versus liberalism in the US, and other things. Secretary Clinton, as there are a couple directly to you, let me start with you, and then everyone else gets about a minute, and you get a minute and a tiny bit.
Yeah, I heard three in particular. To the last question, it's horrifying, and we're hoping that there will be continued release every day that passes. That doesn't mean, as our news commentators say every day in the United States, that because someone's name is there, they committed a crime. But I think there's a lot of very troubling and really horrific information coming out. Today, came out that Bannon was trying to get Jeffrey Epstein to help him overthrow Pope Francis. I guess that was part of the civilizational true conservatism. So it is something that needs to be totally transparent. I've called for many years.
See why she's saying that? We're going to cover that. But Pope Francis is a globalist. Almost 80% of all these priests in there are all gay. The Vatican's controlling captured. Dark money, demons walk the halls, while he was pushing the transgender agenda. All that stuff. So the reason she brought this out in some way is because the question is, why did Bannon work with Epstein in some way to take down Francis? We'll cover that. Let's listen to the rest of this.
For everything to be put out there so people can not only see what is in them, but also, if appropriate, hold people accountable. We'll see what happens.
It's so rich coming from Hillary Clinton telling us about the outrageousness and then throwing up Bannon. I didn't see Bannon named eating babies. He's not in the Wiener laptop. All right. So, I find that interesting. We haven't even covered all that stuff. The funniest thing about the Epstein stuff, that the Wiener stuff is not even, we haven't even touched that one. Wait till that's next level stuff. Are we going to see that? Probably not. I don't know.
That's what people need to start yelling about. All the people that are yelling about the Epstein files, they need to change their energy direction and redirect it to the Wiener laptop.
Mm-hmm.
You start hassling online on X and tagging every politician or whoever. That's what we should. I want that, because that's really going to be. Oh my God! And how many cops died because of that laptop?
I think it was like 9 out of the 12 top ranking that supposedly
they saw
committed suicide. They just couldn't handle it. Yep. 9 out of the 12.
Sick shit, man.
Something like that. New York City's finest that just
People
ended
have no
up,
idea.
offing themselves, self-immolating. That's kind of striking in some way, right? Thea, thank you for the 300 gold pills. Who else is here? Let's see. Yep. Thank you, Hogleg, for the cookie. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a comment, question, concern. You can help us out, or you can help out MarshallKofi.com/surfdog74. Let's move on. Steve Bannon courted Epstein in his efforts to take down Pope Francis. Messages sent between the pair and 19 released massive document dump last month. Bannon courted the late financier in his attempt to undermine the former pontiff after leaving the first Trump administration. Listen, Pope Francis was not a good guy at all. So far as I'm concerned, I'm glad he's gone. Bannon had a highly critical of Francis, who saw him as an opponent to the sovereignist vision, a brand nationalist populism, which swept through Europe in 18 and 19, then released documents from the DOJ to appear that Epstein had been helping Bannon to build this movement. That's really odd. We'll take down Pope Francis, Bannon wrote to Epstein in 19. The Clinton, G, Francis, EU. Come on, brother. Pope Francis was a significant obstacle to Bannon's brand of nationalist populism. In 18, former Trump aide described Francis to The Spectator as beneath contempt, accusing him of siding with globalist elites, according to the source material, urged Matteo Salvini, now Italy's deputy prime minister, to attack the pontiff. For his part, Salvini has used Christian iconography and language when pursuing his anti-immigrant agenda. Rome and the Vatican have been important for Bannon. He set up Rome Bureau when he ran Breitbart News and has been involved in trying to establish a political training gladiator school to defend Judeo-Christian values, not from the Eternal City. Francis, meanwhile, was a counterweight to the Trumpian worldview, strongly critiquing nationalism and making advocacy for migrants as a hallmark of his pontificate. The recently released files reveal Bannon messaged Epstein on several occasions. In his message, Epstein-Bannon references In the Closet of the Vatican, a 2019 book by French journalist Frédéric Martel that lifted a lid on the secrecy and hypocrisy at high levels of the church. Martel created a storm with the book by claiming 80% of the clergy working in the Vatican are faggots, while exploring how they keep their sexuality secret. Yeah, by raping young boys. The whole question of homosexuality in the church has been a lightning rod for some conservatives who see it as now evidence of a deeper systematic crisis in the church, with some linking it to a wider sexual abuse of scandals. Most experts and researchers view any conflating of the sexual orientation with abuse as scientifically arrogant. You could see why Rotten Box Clinton would put this out, because this is CNN showcasing that there's a reason why they went after the Vatican, because the Vatican in itself is the manifestation of hypocrisy. The biggest front, I believe, selling a narrative, a lie in ways that you cannot even possibly imagine. Bannon showed an interest in turning Martel's book into a film after meeting the author in Paris at a 5-star hotel. In the messages, Bannon appears to suggest that Epstein could be in the film's executive producer, and now you're the exec producer of it, COTV, In the Closet of the Vatican, Bannon wrote. It's not clear how serious the proposal was from Bannon and Epstein, and in exchange, Epstein doesn't mention the offer and asked about filming Noam Chomsky, who's also in there. Well, obviously, you saw the emails about Noam Chomsky, the philosopher, a public intellectual. Martell said when he met Bannon at the hotel room, he told him that he could not agree to any film deal as his publishers controlled the film rights and had already signed a deal with another corporation. Okay. What's your thoughts about that? I mean, whoa, that's some pretty heavy stuff there. They went after the Vatican and Pope Francis. Pope Francis is a bad guy. However you want to look at it, dark, evil, monstrously disgusting, had an agenda, globalist agenda, obviously pushing transgenderism. The global homo agenda was coming out of the Vatican. So there was pushback. I think it's an odd in some way that these two were pushing a narrative in some way to go against this. Is this just a bit role playing? Were they joking around or was this serious?
Well, I mean,
Is that why you're saying we'll wait till the documentary? Because a lot of this stuff is all blather?
to quote Bannon, I would say, hang on there now, Brett.
I know.
You know, he does like
Today, Junior?
Yeah, somebody mentioned the chat. I hate the way he does
I said, what's the guy's name? I say, sir.
Yeah. Well, it is an odd thing that all of a sudden we have something completely opposite of what we heard at the beginning of the show, and that is Bannon bad. Now we're looking at Bannon kind of maybe good. Which one is it? Which Bannon is it? And I think we just need to find out. But the Pope, you're right. All of those things, Brett, you were a Catholic. So, you know, that's terrible. I mean, the kids trying to escape. Remember they escaped the Vatican and all that and stuff?
No, it's terrible by all means.
All
and what I'm saying is, I don't know if this is role playing. That's why Bannon's saying this documentary will destroy myths. I don't know what myths those are, but this could be one of them. I mean, I don't know if they were going back, but the fact that Hillary Clinton is pointing this out for some way means it's partly true. That she wanted to jump on this, whether it was from the Mediaite article or from CNN. She wanted to make sure that she wanted to associate Bannon with Epstein, trying to take down Pope Francis. And yeah, Pope Francis was a bad fucking dude.
He was a piece of shit.
Yeah. So is Epstein. No one's defending that guy either. But it's a very odd set of, let's just say, friends that are sitting together or acquaintances sitting together discussing how do we take down the Pope. The latest round of Epstein files have effectively ended careers of some of the world's most powerful figures, from captives of industry to prominent attorneys. Why it matters? The revelations aren't stopping with the new names, and new recriminations come lightly. Driving the news, Justice Department released all the stuff. Tom Pritzker, Ghislaine Maxwell. Good stewardship also means protecting Hyatt, particularly in the context of my association with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I exercise terrible judgment in maintaining contact with them, and there's no excuse for failing to distance myself sooner. I condemn the actions and harm caused by Epstein and Maxwell. Brad Karp, chairman to corporate law firm Paul Weiss for 18 years, resigned after emails with Epstein were revealed in files. Recently reporting has created a distraction and has placed the focus on me that is not in the best interest of the firm. Kathleen Rumler, we know about her. Top counsel at Goldman Sachs resigned after her emails with Epstein surfaced showing her close relationship with her downplaying the sex crimes. Again, you know, as Bannon is suggesting that he is some type of documentary producer, director of this and stuff, and that he had to get close to him in this some way. Is that an excuse with the emails or was this just all a joke? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but it's neither here nor there. He has not answered to what's this on, but you cannot unsee what we're seeing, and you'd have to think in some way, was Bannon a double agent? Was he playing both sides of this? Was he really going after President Trump? Was he a mole? Casey Wasserman, a high-profile Hollywood talent agent who chairs LA 28 Olympic Committee, said he would sell his agency after the Epstein ties were disclosed. That's not good. High-profile clients, including pop star Chappelle Roan and soccer player Abby Wambach, left the agency following the revelations. Not good. Pia Tia, this is a big name. A longevity influencer stepped down as a chief science officer at David Protein and is no longer listed as an advisor of 8 Sleep. However, CBS News is keeping Atia as a contributor for multiple outlets. Steve Tisch, chairman of New York Giants, co-owner of the New York, is being investigated by the NFL and Commissioner Grodell. Wow. Commerce Secretary Lutnick, we know about him. Peter Mandelson, we know about him. Morgan McSweeney. Thorben, Jagland Norway's former prime minister, was charged with aggravated corruption following a police probe into his Epstein ties. Wow. Jack Lang, the French politician. Lang's financial ties to Epstein prompted an investigation into the fraud. Sultan Ahmad bin Sulaim in Dubai was replaced as chairman of CEO Logistics. Remember that? With the torture videos? So, yeah, you could see how it's affecting everything. It's not really working over here per se. I mean, it's people are just resigning, stepping down. They're moving
CEO
on.
Of Hilton today, too.
Yeah, the CEO of Hilton. There you go.
Today.
Yeah. So
either CEO or one of them, big top guy.
But this is all going to catch up in some way, all of them. They're all going to eat themselves. All right, moving on. I'm running out of time. So I want to move on with this because it was reported that the new owner of the Zora Ranch, which is now the San Rafael Ranch, I'll blow this up. He's come out. Texas GOP politician Don Huffines says Huffines says he'll cooperate with the Zora Ranch probe. He bought the Zora Ranch back in the day. Texas owners of the late Jeffrey Epstein's Zora Ranch in southern Santa Fe County are willing to cooperate with any law enforcement investigation of the ranch. Spokesman for Don Huffines says the owners will have never been approached by local, state, or federal enforcement requesting access to the San Rafael Ranch. Let me blow this up more. All right. And if and when they do, of course, will be granted full and complete cooperation. Blackmore Ed, I guess that's the attorney. So bill lifting statute of limitations, some child sex crime passes in New Mexico Senate. So they're moving all this stuff. Epstein files shed a light, ties to Santa Fe Institute scientists. New Mexico bipartisan Epstein Truth Commission passes, kicking off an investigation. So they're planning on, now it came out, was it Friday, that he did not want to participate in it. And then somehow this was a Trump donor, a comptroller from Texas who bought this. Now, I don't know if he lives there. I think he's from Texas. He lives in Texas. And this is a winter home, summer home, whatever. And he bought it for like $14 million. I'm going to go through it right now real quickly. I think we get a background of it. The businessman running for office owns Epstein Store Ranch. The family, Don Huffines, the former Republican Texas senator, who's now campaigning to become the state's comptroller, bought the disgraced Epstein's ranch 4 years after Epstein's death. Okay. The ownership was first reported Friday by Santa Fe, New Mexican, which was attributed to reporting public records obtained through the public information. A limited liability corporation tied to Huffines' family bought the property in 23 for undisclosed amount, later protested the valuation at $13.4 million for tax purposes. Wow. In part because of the notoriety of the property, according to New Mexico public records, received the paper tied to Huffines to a company. It's an LLC. Obviously, he didn't want his name or information released, but it's too late. Previously served in the Texas Senate in Dallas, and he's unsuccessfully challenged Greg Abbott. So before revelations of the ownership arrived in the wake, the latest release of documents. So basically, he was in some way stymied. He didn't want to do this at first, and now he's changed his tune. He wants all transparency of this. Well, I don't blame him. You bought this in some way. You could be sitting on a poltergeist, a burial ground, an Indian burial ground of mass graves. Do you want that on your conscience in some way? Do you feel in some way you have to exorcise the demons? I mean, obviously. How can you have, obviously you're running for comptroller in Texas. You don't want to look like you're hiding something, that you found something when you bought this through an LLC. Oh, by the way, I found a secret underground connection tunnel that wasn't shown to me, and all these bones fell out of it. You don't want that liability hanging on your head. You want to make sure you show every opportunity. Show your cards, play ball, make it look like you're the good guy here. Hey, look, I bought this property, changed the name. We have a whole thing set up here. I want to be truthful, and if they could find anybody that was whatever, so be it. Let's move on. Marshall, your thoughts?
There's something interesting I found out about this guy. His son, Russell, works in the Trump administration.
Yeah.
He's the director of agency outreach for the White House Office of Cabinet Affairs. He only makes about $83,000 a year, so it's a humble position. But it's an interesting fact that his son, what that means, I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? Who knows?
Right.
But he should definitely open up that ranch and let it be looked at.
Well, if there's an investigation by the city and by the local officials, the state and stuff, where they bring in FBI or what have you to excavate the lands around there, then yeah, haunted in some way.
Tear the whole thing down if you have.
I mean, you know, I don't know what to make of it. You know, in some way, I mean, buying it, did you refurbish it? I mean, there's got to be some bad juju there. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't imagine. To me, that's just, I mean, I know in some way that it's not like some iconic thing that like Trump bought the Mar-a-Lago from Marjorie, what is it? The Post family, the Post cereal family. You know, it's not like something like that. I mean, we're not talking famous. We're talking infamous. We're talking, you know,
the Washington Post Office.
Yeah.
That he turned into a hotel. I mean, those, yeah. I mean, those are iconic.
Imagine buying this for $13.4 million. Did he purposely buy this for this reason? Now, we don't know the whole story about this in some way. I mean, did this guy buy this for this reason and set this up? Is it possible? I don't know. I was thinking about it in some way. Who is this guy? Why would you do? You live in Texas. You're running for comptroller. You're wealthy businessman. Why buy the ranch? What was it that you bought it for $13.4 million? Okay. I mean, it just seems off to me.
Trying to secure the property, maybe?
I think so. I think there's something that this guy's a Trump donor. He's tied to President Trump in some way. So I think that initially that when people said, well, we don't want to do it, they had to make it look like, and are we looking as someone just playing a part? Is this they secured the property for eventual opportunity to do an excavation,
forensics and all that?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. I would say so. Why would someone want to buy this?
Who the hell would want to? I mean, yeah.
I mean,
and if you live in Texas, you want a place on the beach. You want a place, unless you already live there. But obviously, this guy probably does not.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, here we go. Obama speaking a lot this weekend. Even Obama knows that Newsom is failing in his own state. We should recognize that the average person doesn't want to have and navigate around a tent city. Well, that's how Rich. You saw Hillary Clinton talk about this. All they're doing is setting up for 2026 in some way. They're trying to put the creep in there to get you convinced that, hey, these people are moderates, Rotten Box Clinton and Barack Obama, and that Newsom is a bad guy and he's like, you know, so you want to make sure you're still voting for moderates and stuff and not be out there on the limb. This is all bullshit. This is a psyop in its place. Remember, he talked about aliens, all right? And then he walked it back. Why did he walk that back? I wonder why.
I think morally, ethically speaking, it is an atrocity that in a country this wealthy, we have people just on the streets. And we should have we should insist on policies that recognize their full humanity, people who are houseless, and be able to provide them the help and resources that they need. But we should also recognize that the average person, you know, doesn't want to have to navigate around a tent city in the middle of downtown, and that we're not going to be able to build a working majority and support for the resources that we need to help folks like that, whether it's drug treatment or temporary housing or what have you. We're not going to be able to generate support for it if we simply say, you know what, it's not their fault, and so they should be able to do whatever they want, because that's a losing political strategy.
What a fucking hypocrite. And they're setting this up for 2026. Peter T, I think he works for NBC or CBS one of them. He's a longevity expert. He tries to condition you about thinking into the future, about stretching out finances, stretching out all these other different things. So if you don't know what it is, you can look it up and see who he is.
Obama's full of shit.
He's totally full of shit. It's a total psyop.
Telling me you're saying all this shit. You never have to. This guy never has to step in anything.
I know. And the idea, it's like, oh, we're going to listen to you about how much you made us more communist and social, and then you supplanted all this stuff. And then now you're saying it's like, well, people don't want to navigate against
regular
of course
guy.
not. I want to run over the fucking tents because you put them in the middle of the street. You set up these people to live in this fucking way. And instead of exercising the law and removing these people, give them some fucking land, all right, and let them live on this land. And whatever it is, if they don't want to work, they don't want to do anything and stuff, can't put them in jail. But you know what? You can remove them from the cities. You can remove them from towns, all right? Give them their own land, all right? And let them live there. But see, it's convenient to say this in some way when you're the architect of America's downfall on so many levels. And the idea that you're going to basically pose an argument saying, well, you know, that's why Newsom is not likable in some way. What are you talking about? You're talking out of both sides of the mouth. No one buys your story. Let's listen to Rotten Box. All right, she says something even more crazy. They're all trying to play moderates for the 2026 election, like Spamberger, who won in Virginia. Justin Hillary Clinton in Germany rips open borders, demands a halt to mass third world migration to secure borders. Yeah. What a fucking crock of shit.
So there is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people. I think we need.
No one's torturing and kill people. That's what you do. That's what you've done on the fucking the Wiener laptop. I mean, the idea, no one's torturing and killing these people. We're just they're torturing and killing us. She can't say that. She can't say that. Maybe she wanted to, and that was a faux pas, and she slipped. But the idea that they're playing moderates now, and they're moving along with some of the Trump administration talking points in this type of matter and stuff is just comical. It really is.
Is it torture, Brett, to burn somebody alive? I would say yeah. And these people that she's talking about do that. They have burned innocent people alive.
Yep.
I mean, this is incredible. You know what, Brett? The American, when they see this shit and when they go outside and they walk around and they see this kind of crap, the American people should be so pissed off. They should look at videos of other countries like the beautiful, like Dubai or Russia, and how clean it is and how beautiful it is. And you should say to yourself, Brett, why don't we have that? Why don't we have that?
Because they imported too many brown and black people into this country of foreigners. And that's it.
Fuck off, man.
And when you bring in the worst of the worst from third world shithole countries that they're not here to resettle, they're not here to learn our language, they're not here to learn anything. They're here about grifting and grafting, murdering and killing, replacing you, taking your home. Yeah, it's okay. You know, racism, it's the new nationalism. It's the only way. The only way we save this country. It's about survival. It's about your survival. Remember, it's a privilege and an honor to be white. Don't ever forget it. Enjoy every moment of it. E. Jean Carroll receives a creepy Trump Valentine's Day email ahead of the Supreme Court decision. Yeah, listen to this. Carroll, the writer who sued Trump, sexually assaulting her in Manhattan, blah, blah, blah. Departments will reveal that she received a creepy Valentine's Day campaign email from the president, despite never signing up to his mailings. Yes, this is a real email. No, I did not sign up to his mailing list. Yes, we are living in a crazy world. Carol wrote on X. She shared the screenshot and asked for donations in a love letter. I sent you a love letter, but I haven't heard back. It's Valentine's Day, E. Jean. I love you. I was pretty sure you loved me back. Is everything okay? The email reads, and it was sent by contact@win.donaldtrump.com. The email addresses that president's team often sends funding messages. That is fucking hilarious. Let me pull this up if I can. That is fucking great. Look at that. That's a Bew Clark. Oh my God. I thought that was funny. She received the Trump campaign email. That's funny. And she's not on the mailing list. I didn't receive one. So obviously this was intended. This was intended to poke and prod her in some way. Did anybody see Marco Rubio this weekend?
Oh,
we'll just cover one thing. He had the best speech. Probably one of the best speeches ever. He basically this is about the Munich Security Conference and talking about how Europe and the United States are interwoven, are bound together by their culture and their deep Christian roots, rather than encourage European nations to get behind President Trump's agenda. He wants them to basically rail against the migration, shut it down, start removing these people, get their country cleaned up. Marco Rubio, the greatest speeches by Secretary of State in decades. Let's listen. I'm only playing this one.
We increasingly outsourced our sovereignty to international institutions while many nations invested in massive welfare states at the cost of maintaining the ability to defend themselves. This, even as other countries have invested in the most rapid military buildup in all of human history and have not hesitated to use hard power to pursue their own interests. To appease a climate cult, we have imposed energy policies on ourselves that are impoverishing our people, even as our competitors exploit oil and coal and natural gas and anything else, not just to power their economies, but to use as leverage against our own. And in a pursuit of a world without borders, we opened our doors to an unprecedented wave of mass migration that threatens the cohesion of our societies, the continuity of our culture, and the future of our people. We made these mistakes together. And now, together, we owe it to our people to face those facts and to move forward to rebuild. Under President Trump, the United States of America will once again take on the task of renewal and restoration, driven by a vision of a future as proud, as sovereign, and as vital as our civilization's past. And while we are prepared, if necessary, to do this alone, it is our preference and it is our hope to do this together with you, our friends here in Europe. For the United States and Europe, we belong together. America was founded 250 years ago, but the roots began here on this continent long before. The men who settled and built the nation of my birth arrived on our shores carrying the memories and the traditions and the Christian faith of their ancestors as a sacred inheritance, an unbreakable link between the old world and the new. We are part of one civilization, Western civilization. We are bound to one another by the deepest bonds that nations could share, forged by centuries of shared history, Christian faith, culture, heritage, language, ancestry, and the sacrifices our forefathers made together for the common civilization to which we have fallen heir. And so this is why we Americans may sometimes come off as a little direct and urgent in our counsel. This is why President Trump demands seriousness and reciprocity from our friends here in Europe. The reason why, my friends, is because we care deeply. We care deeply about your future and ours. And if at times we disagree, our disagreements come from our profound sense of concern about a Europe with which we are connected, not just economically, not just militarily. We are connected spiritually, and we are connected culturally. We want Europe to be strong. We believe that Europe must survive, because the two great wars of the last century serve for us as history's constant reminder that ultimately our destiny is and will always be intertwined with yours.
Good speech. Basically, trying to smooth the rough edges over in Europe. I think that's it. They do want to work with them. They want them to fix their migration problem and all these other things that are in there. And I think in some way, the president is trying to make sure to covet something with all the changes that are going to be taking place with leaders and elections in Germany, many other countries. They're hopefully moving to more of a conservative way, or more of a way that they're going to get a control of what's happening. We signed, Secretary of State, the United States signed a nuclear agreement with Hungary. When you really look at how the landscape is changing, we don't want to leave people out by suggesting is that it's either you or us. We're saying is that, look, we want you to be a part. We want to have a relationship with you. All right. But there are things that you have to do to make sure that that relationship is symbiotic. It works both ways. And Europe has not done that. whether trade relations or everything else. They relied on us on defense in so many different ways. This whole Ukraine war, all this nonsense is taking place that is out of control. And I think in some way, whether they're trying to smooth it over or not, we're setting up for, I think, the big fail. I think the UN is going bye-bye. And I think that they're trying to get as many people on board with this peace operation that President Trump is creating, this peace board or what have you, that will ultimately take over and replace the UN, where everybody puts up $1 billion, which I think it's a great idea. I mean, think about it. The money that you're paying. What has the UN done? What has the UN accomplished in the last 20 years? Can anybody think of one accomplishment the UN has done in the last 20 years? I can't think of any reason why the old guard will still remain there. It has to all come crashing down because it's not viable. It does not work for us. It's not beneficial. That's why he's over there trying to put a new point of view out there and saying, look, you have to change your ways in order for us to move forward. We will work with you, all right? But if you don't change, if you don't think about the future, you're not going to have a country left. You're not going to have, a continent left. I mean, how many Muslims have moved in to the continent of Europe? It's like 50 million, 60 million, some ridiculous amount. Europe is being saturated by this disgusting disease that's permeating through their culture. And it's rampant, and it's getting worse.
Yeah, the thing with the buildup with a different coalition that Trump is creating with the Hungary, in the nuclear agreement that they have with Hungary. This is really good. Trump is creating a new landscape of, I think it's the Board of Peace.
Yeah,
I guess is what it's called. And then what he did with, where he's talking about this guy over there. Damn it, I'm so hung up on what Rubio just said.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was going to say. He commanded, when he was there, he commanded a ton of respect from all those people.
Right.
I mean, he got standing ovation after standing ovation, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, if y'all get a chance, go back and look at the speeches or look at the whole
I didn't want to play all of them.
Yeah, I know.
He's got a lot of going. Yeah,
but he was great. So go ahead, man.
Christy 4922, what's up? I see you on YouTube. Howdy from the great state of Texas. I see you, James. What's going on, James? And the Tyro Matt Pittman. What's going on? Days of Thunder was a good one too. Oh, you're talking about the death of 5x5 my end. Good. I'm glad there are people over there on YouTube. Let's continue on. Let's march on as there's a lot of good stuff. This is a good one. If you didn't see this, remember, this is all about the Munich defense operation was taking place over here in Europe. The Czech politician is being praised for worldwide obliterating Rottenbach's Clinton and causing her to erupt in panic. You don't really like Trump. I'm sorry, this makes you nervous, Hillary. This dude's a legend. Watch this.
You don't like him.
That is absolutely true. But I really, not only do I not like him, I don't like him because of what he's doing to the United States and the world. And I think you should take a hard look at it if you think that there is something good that will come out of it.
What I think Trump is doing in America, I think it is reaction for something for some policies that really went too far from the regular people.
Global homo agenda,
far from reality.
transgenderism.
We saw the cancel culture. We saw the woke revolution. I don't agree with the gender revolution, the climate alarmism.
Which gender? Women having their rights?
Shut up.
Let Peter go on.
I think that.
Remember, she went to this Munich conference with some fucking transgender freak. All right. Again, selling that narrative, pushing that lie.
There are two genders, so but some of us think that there is more than one or more than two gender. I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct. So this is something that went too far.
But does that justify selling out the people of Ukraine who are on the front lines dying to say.
What the hell does that have to do with
two
anything?
genders,
Okay.
if that's what you're worried about.
Can I please finish my points? I'm sorry that it makes you nervous. I'm really sorry for that.
It makes me nervous. It makes me
Yes, it does.
See how they still but no, we got to be careful. It's the Clintons and stuff. Might end up with a fucking horse in your bed. You know, I mean, you know, a head of a horse.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable in some way that
All
we're still
scurry
within
around
this
and guard
time,
it. They
and she's
scurry
still
around.
operating. She's still over there
Gotta protect
speaking.
it.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
It's pretty
I saw this
sick.
from Kim. Yeah, I saw this. So I saw this from Kim.com. But he's pretty quiet tonight. What's going on? Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a GoPro. Let's hear your comments, questions, concerns. Everybody's quiet out there. Chilling and listening. Quiet tonight. No snarking. Yeah, I could see that. Everybody's quiet. So Kim.com puts this out. Palantir was allegedly hacked over the weekend. An AI agent was used to gain super user access. And here's what the hackers allegedly found. Peter Thiel and Alex Karp commit mass surveillance of world leaders and titans of industry on massive scale. They have thousands of hours transcribed and searchable conversations of Trump, Vance, Elon Musk. They have backdoored the devices, cars, jets of world leaders and accumulate the biggest archive of blackmail material. Palantir is creating a nuclear and bioweapon capabilities for Ukraine and is working closely with the CIA to defeat Russia. They believe they are 1 year away. They plan to achieve this by keeping Russia busy with meaningless peace negotiations. Palantir is responsible of the majority of Palestinian deaths in Gaza. They have developed the AI targeting for Israel. Palantir is an arm of the CIA, and all data from international clients is copied into a CIA spy cloud. Palantir has become the most dangerous company in the world, and if you work there, you have the right to know that this is what Palantir AI is used for. Without your knowledge, Palantir data the hackers allegedly gather will be given to Russia and or China. I was chosen as a trusted partner for this publication. I am not involved in Palantir hack. And I don't know the hackers, but I do know that hack happened. Wow. I wonder who did that hack. That's that's very interesting in some way that he's putting out. Do you believe him? I mean, is he lying? He's making that up in some way?
Who the hell knows, Brett? I mean, he's always been a kind of a shady, like not shady in a bad way, but
yeah,
you know, he's always been, and then he dropped out for a while back, you know, a year or two ago, or whatever.
He's been critical of Trump.
Yeah.
Been critical about the Epstein stuff.
Who the hell
turned into a black pillar.
Yeah.
Aliens, Obama says. Aliens are real. 24 hours later, he says he saw no evidence as president, but walked that back. CIA, Pentagon, or did the aliens get to him? Obama says aliens are real, then backtracks 24 hours. Saw no evidence of extraterrestrials during his presidency. What changed overnight? Pressure from intel agencies, the military? Did aliens get to him? I mean, honestly, if you watch the video, I'm not going to play it. He's like, well, it's not in Area 51. There's no underground bases unless they hide that from the presidents and stuff. I don't know. They're not keeping them there in some way. So he highlights Area 51, and then he's got to backtrack all this stuff. I wonder why he had to backtrack all this stuff. I wonder why in some way. I mean, is he saying because you have because you were president and you saw all this stuff, and now because it's not the right time to say it? I mean, because you're not president and you shouldn't be saying stuff like that. Who told him to walk this back? Think about that. Who's really is he really in control? Is there someone really controlling him, or is that what we're just watching? Is that he's being manipulated and puppeteered around in some way until the fall of him?
His fellow reptilians, you know. So he's going to shape. Look, you know, who the hell knows?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somebody made a good point today on Twitter. If you if you drink human blood, it's deadly. It can kill you. It's very. So who are the people drinking this stuff? Right. Who are the people consuming these humans? They can't be human.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense when you think of it like that.
Obviously they're
throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, people eating human meat.
That's just,
you know, it's like
it has what does it give you? Locked? There's what is it? Celine Dion got this thing.
Yeah.
Where they freeze up. They can't move or something. It's strange.
I don't know. I mean, it's just odd in some way that discussions like this are not.
Sorry to go off the rails, man.
Well, they're not put out more, and people are not really seeing the bigger picture when it comes to these things. But it's not an odd coincidence that we have these discussions all the time, and it's just like that's why the Epstein stuff, and it's just it's so next level. It's Dante's Inferno. Next level until we actually reach the point is that there are people that are walking among us that are not really human.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
so we wonder why that these things are the way they are. Kevin O'Leary says the quiet part aloud about Marco Rubio's speech in Munich. You're either with us or you're not. O'Leary then laid it out in a nightmarish dystopian future. If China were to win a global dominance, this was a direct warning to all of Europe. This all started a few weeks ago at Davos. Let's listen. This was pretty interesting.
On the famous speech Carney gave, the Prime Minister of Canada, with the words New World Order. That did not go well with the Trump administration, as you remember. Actually, it hurt relations with Canada at this point, which hasn't really restarted on the tariff front. The point is, though, we're getting to a place now where there's only one adversary, and I think it's time to just call it out. China. That's it. And so you either are with us, so to speak, against China, or you're not, because China is getting ready for world dominance. And I call it what it is. Economically, militarily, AI, power, you name it, those guys are not fooling around. And if we don't wake up and get together on this, they will be the superpower. Now, if you're okay with that, you want to live in that kind of a world, well, I don't. So I'd like to see this thing worked out pretty damn fast because Europe has to get on board. Canada has to get on board. Everybody that believes in democracy, freedom, and capitalism has to get on board, or you will see those guys walk into your country one day.
Wow. Very interesting that how he breaks down the Marco Rubio speech and stuff and telling them that we want to be a part of you. We want to work with you, but there are certain things that you must do. You should draw the line in the sand. It's either us or them. And you have to make your choice about how you want it. Do you want to buy, you want to get all your energy from us, natural gas, oil, what have you, or do you want to get it from China? Do you want them to defend you and sell you their goods, or do you want America? You know, I think it's a good rationale of explaining this. Yeah. Canada, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Canada. We don't know if Canada is going to, Canada at one end says they're not going to do a deal, and then the other one, they say they will. You have the House of Representatives signing legislation about trying to pass the tariffs are going to be moot. That's never going to happen because Trump will veto it as soon as it hits his desk, because they did so in the Senate as well. So that's a done deal. But who is this for? I mean, in reality, when you think about it, Canada has only one option. And if they go this other way, they're screwed. And it's no wonder that we're sitting here saying is that, look, Canada has to be a part of something with us or they're going to be left behind. And I think in some way, a lot of people are looking our relationship with Canada. It's going to be, it's left to be desired now, but more likely in some way, they're going to struggle to figure out where they're going to go because they still will not make a deal with us. They still don't want to pay the tariffs. And Trump's like, screw you. Why is Canada so difficult? Why has Canada been so difficult? This is our neighbor. It should be easy to work with them. Why have they been? Why? Because they're still under the thumb of the crown.
Yeah.
You got a fucking Bank of London fucking prime minister. That's the bottom line. He's taking his marching orders from the Bank of London. They're telling him that this is what you need to do. This is how you're supposed to do it. I mean, if you really think about it, Canada is one of the last rebellious global old world order dominant countries out there. You could say like Australia, New Zealand in some way, but Canada right there on the border, not willing to negotiate, trying to work out other deals, trying to spit in the face of America. And Trump's like, go ahead, have fun with that. See what happens to you. And I think that Rubio's tone is like, look, don't be Canada. Don't be Canada.
What I found interesting about what Mr. Wonderful or Leary, whatever he said, is that he left out what he wanted to really say was Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Russia and America, not Canada and America. That's not, come on. Canada and America, Europe, like England and America. No, it's Russia and America.
Yeah.
And he wanted to, I guarantee, I would be willing to bet he didn't say it because they would have blown up on that studio. on that set. They would have blown up and said, Russia, oh my God, yeah, Putin and all that. Well, that's what he's probably thinking, Mr. Wonderful there. So,
no, he's saying that China is going to be our.
Well, no, I agree with
remaining...
him on that. Yes.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is Russia being our ally or our, in
trade partner right now. But now, if they're going to join this peace board or whatever it is, in some way, what is the relativism of all these countries joining? Canada is not going to be invited. What does that tell you? If Canada is going to be left out of the cold, it's going to be pretty bad for them. They're going to face a lot of hurdles. And I think Trump is going to make them pay for what they have done. Look at this country. Over 100,000 plus people have been euthanized. Over 100 and more people. And they're creating all these devices to kill more and more people for mental disease, depression, all these horrible things. People are just signing up to off themselves. Well, yeah, I bet you if I lived in Canada, I'd probably off myself too at this point. What a dystopian world that's happening there. And, and Trump's like, dude, you got to get these borders under control. You got a Muslim problem over there. You got a Chinese problem that's beckoning at your door, that you have to be concerned with your military, our military that's stationed there. That's one concern. Do we have to pull out of there? I mean, that's why the whole idea of getting Greenland. Look, there's so many other things that I think we're not looking at, we're seeing here, but Europe has to be addressed in this in some way. They can't continue on with their partnership with China. And that's what Rubio is trying to say. Don't be like Canada, because you're going to be left in the cold. Trump wants kidnappers' death penalty awaits if Nancy Guthrie's not returned home. I still don't understand the story. I think this is a psyop. I don't think this woman's alive. If she is, she's in Mexico, not New Mexico, but Mexico. But Trump is like, severe consequences. Like he knows this whole thing is fake. Nancy Guthrie, the mother of the grown children, Savannah, was removed from her home. This was a botched burglary. Then why didn't they just kill her? It was a botched burglary. So you take her. There's no technically a ransom, but it doesn't make any sense. I've never seen so many people. This is not like the Lindbergh baby. I mean, come on. I mean, we're sitting there like she's an 84-year-old boomer, and it's like the mother of someone who's in her husband worked for the Clintons in the Epstein files. She's not a fan of Trump. I mean, the whole thing stinks to high heaven that they can't. The police are involved, and they're sticking their noses into the whole thing, and they're blockading or truncating all this stuff. I just don't understand any of this stuff at all. It doesn't make any sense. The only thing I can say is that this is a total psyop. Yep. This is to downplay or weaken and subvert everything about Epstein. Yes, I think so. Harmony Levine just revealed TMC has now received a fourth letter from the same person claiming to know where Guthrie is. My God. She was taken to Mexico. More than one person was involved. There was a main person plus others. He was told to shut up after what he saw at south of the border. Every letter has been forwarded to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If this is fake, if it's a serious federal crime, but if it's real, send information and stop circling. He puts this out there. I don't want to hear this guy. I'll be honest with you and stuff. I'm reaching a point at this point of like, look, you might as well create a Deadpool. Is she going to come home alive? I mean, do you think so? Is this going to be something out of like Wag the Dog in some way? Because that's what it's looking. This is like production.
For all we know, Brett, she had a heart attack 2 weeks ago and she's on ice.
Exactly. And then wheel her out later. And then wheel her out later.
It's not the first time they've used a death to wait and delay so they can put it on the news. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Up in D.C., all the deaths, what was it? We can go over 1 million of them. Not 1 million, but we can go over a bunch where they hold on to the death. They bring it out right when something bad comes out. And then you hear 10 days of nothing but that.
Yeah. I mean, just like the Supreme Court justice. Yeah.
What's her name?
Ginsburg.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wood USA, for 817 gold pills. Need more gold pill love. Support the boy stream. Thank you. Thank you, Curious Cat, for the cookie. Let's continue on. Israeli producer, Apple TV spy thriller. Have you watched this show? Go watch it. It's fucking insane. Thriller, spy thriller, Tehran, found dead in Athens hotel. She's found dead. This is where they're filming this. Dana Ian, the producer and behind the hit show, Tehran has been found dead in an Athens hotel. The 52-year-old was found dead on Sunday, and police are probing her death as a suicide after a Greek investigator said they found her neck bruised with pills located at the scene. Okay, sure, fine. You buy that one. She was in Greek capital filming the 4th season of Apple TV spy series. This is a good one, which revolves around a Mossad agent trying to infiltrate the Iran regime. And her body double was found by her brother. Excuse me. Her body was found by her brother, according to the broadcaster Khan. He grew concerned when she didn't respond to the text messages. I got another one here. This is a good one.
You've honestly seen this? You've watched this before?
Yeah. I've seen the first 2 seasons. I haven't watched any of it. I know they're filming. They already done the 3rd season. They're filming a 4th season. But with her dead, I don't know what's going to happen. But I just wanted to show you this. Where is it?
Which is better, this or the Ryan one?
Jack Ryan series that's my favorite. But this one is, if you follow what's going on with Mossad and Israel and Iran and stuff about the infiltration there, you get a better window of this. And I think in some way, whatever they were revealed in the 3rd season or the 2nd season was problematic that they didn't want people to know about. Because if you get the sense that there are agents, subversives on the ground, making sure that they bring down the Ayatollah and its government, which I believe so, that is happening from many different levels and stuff. You don't want that information out in a certain way. But the way it was portrayed and the way that it was utilized in some way, that it's inside the government elements, slowly nipping let's just say subverting the government in so many different ways. I think there are elements in the show that have tipped its hand in some way, and I believe she might have become a liability because she released too much. Is it possible to say, because she's an Israeli producer, that she got a lot of her information from Mossad, and maybe that she went too far and said, hey, you can't put this in and put this in there, and they basically said, we're going to nix this. She was 52 years old. A production was underway, cameras were rolling, and then everything stopped. Found dead in a private hotel room, mid-production on an international series. Filming abruptly halted. No public cause of death. Eden was not a minor figure. She co-produced Tehran and Shula Spiegel, one of the most successful series in the Israeli television. Let's listen to this.
Died at 52 years old during the filming of the Apple TV series in Greece. She co-produced that hit series with Shula Spiegel, which was later sold to Apple TV. She was found dead in her Athens hotel room during filming. She also produced Shakshuka, Michael and Magpie. Her company said it was shocked and heartbroken. We are shocked and heartbroken by the untimely passing of our beloved friend and partner, Dana Eden. Dana and Shella Productions said in a statement, Dana, a gifted creator with an international reputation, worked in the industry for more than 30 years, and for the past 18 years at Dana and Shula Productions, won numerous awards, including an International Emmy for producing the international series Tehran, which obviously, as you know, shows on Apple TV. Eden produced many shows, most notably Tehran, which she co-produced with her partner Shula Spiegel, one of the most successful series in Israeli television, and that led to a multi-million-dollar deal with Apple.
If you get a chance, go look on YouTube what Tehran is, and you'll understand what it is and look it up. And you'll get an understanding about what the show's about. And ask yourself in some way, was this an accident? She had bruises on her neck and pills. Sounds like she was strangled. And they're trying to set it up as a suicide in some way. But the question is, what was it that she revealed? Did she go too far? Was she telling a storyline that was tipping their hand in some way? What was it that she did in some way that it would make that they would want to kill her? Think about that. What would that she would do in some way that would make them want? Did she reveal something too much? It's I watch a show. It's very interesting. I think it's a good show. You could tell the infiltration in it, the subversive nature of what it's about from the perspective of spies and subversives from Israel that are in there trying to take down the government and working in hand with operational and forces in there, and also people that are trying to bring down the government themselves.
Yeah, it's just strange that they're doing this thing, and this lady just died. She just dies. So you could do anything. But the thing is, Brett, this is what I notice about all these, is that just like Charlie Kirk, she probably said even less or did even less than Charlie Kirk,
Mm-hmm.
and she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So what it means to me is that, Brett, you could say the slightest little thing, and if they don't like it and it rubs them wrong, you're done.
Yep. I totally agree. And considering with everything that just happened, U.S. preparing for a sustained weeks-long war against Iran if Trump orders attack. The U.S. military is preparing a possibility of sustained weeks-long operation against Iran if President Trump orders an attack on the country. Reuters have reported the U.S. continues to build up forces. The report, which cited two unnamed U.S. officials, said a U.S. attack on Iran could lead to a far more serious conflict than the two countries have seen before. All signs indicate that Iran wouldn't hold back and give the U.S. notice an advanced counterattack as it did during the 12-day war after the U.S. bombed its nuclear facilities. I don't know what to say about this. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be pissed off that we're doing regime change. Are we doing it? Or are we just there as a defense posture so Israel can hit them? And then what? We play what? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand why we have to put ourselves in there in some way. It's just I'm not saying we need to be isolationist or interventionist, but in some way, it's like, well, how does this benefit us? I mean, what are we trying to say here in some way? Is that they have nuclear missiles and they're about to use them on their way out? Is that what we're saying? Are we saying Israel's going to hit them? Well, that's what Israel's saying. I think Israel's
They've been
planning on
saying for the last 20 fucking
Are we
years.
just trying to cockblock Israel from doing anything that's far greater than what we're going to do?
That's probably about right.
I mean, think about that. You have to consider that because Israel would fucking send a nuke over there. They don't kill how many people they kill over there. Even people that are protesting against the government to have regime change inside their government. Are we there as a defensive posture to control the outcome of the systematic collapse of the regime of Israel? I mean, of Iran.
That's what I think you really hit the nail on the head the first time there, Brett.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost I've said this before. Israel really doesn't belong there. I mean, it's physically, it's nowhere in the Bible does it say that it's that piece of land. Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've been there since what? 1947. I mean, it's created by England. The whole thing is a farce. Everybody knows it.
But they are too dumb. They say bruises. Really? Wow. I know. She had bruises on her neck.
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about? And pills there? Come on. So you didn't see any rope. So what did she do? She choke herself? And that's it?
Yeah, it's Epstein. Yeah, he hung himself.
They're good at that, aren't they?
We could go over and over and over.
You know, what's that one show I've been watching? What's it? The Night Manager. Great show on Prime. The guy who played Loki. He's in it. It's fantastic. And there's a scene in the season 2 where one of the guys,
Night Manager.
The Night Manager. It's pretty good. And when the scene in season 2, and the one guy that was a spy or someone who works for the Whitehall, which British intelligence, what have you. They found him dead with a bunch of pills in McAllen. And obviously they forced the pills down his throat, made him drink the alcohol, and he ended up dying. But they declared his suicide so easily. And then it turns out he wasn't suicide. They helped suicide him. And I thought it was an interesting say because you see that all the time. The pills and alcohol all the time. Yeah. Now the bruisers on this stuff. I mean, come on. They really, they really think we're stupid. Here we go. Stop Anti-Semitism founder wants anti-Semites hunted down and killed. Wow. Financially, legally, socially, and economically. We have some serious problems in this country. And this right here, see that flag? That's Satan's flag. Google and SEO will follow you for the rest of your life when you look for a job, when you look for a spouse, when you look for a nanny, when you look for anything. Really? Okay. And you're going to tell me that is not racism right there. To threaten people that they can't get jobs because they have a different point of view. They don't believe in Zionism. They don't believe in their their fucking culture and anything that they stand for. And if you push back against them, they'll destroy you. I really hope that if we get to this next level with Iran and Iran has a bomb, just launch it at Israel. Don't hit us. Just send it over there and then end them. End them once and for all. So we no longer have to deal with this. This destruction of this fucking state has to come to an end. It is garbage. It's disgusting. And all they're doing is bringing down America, bringing down this country. And the idea that you're going to threaten us because we don't want to toe a fucking line, because we don't want to kill babies. We don't want to fucking just murder people because, oh, it's Gaza. Palestinians are nobody. Well, that's how we feel about you.
And that's how you get peace in the Middle East, Brett.
Yep. Leora Rez, founder and executive director of
Get them out.
A watchdog organization that publicly exposes anti-Semitic behavior, creating consequences
nerve, man.
for those who espouse bigotry toward the Jewish people. Leora?
I don't even want to. I just disgusted. It's gotten to the point. It's like so ridiculous. And the fact that our governor of Florida goes over to Israel, they pass these fucking laws in some way. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's unconstitutional though, so it's.
I know it's not. But I mean, go ahead, go knock on someone's door and try to arrest them for having your First Amendment right. See, the problem is that you're passing these Semitic laws in some way, which is basically in direct violation, all right, and opposition to what? My First Amendment rights. My right to fucking say what I want, whether you like it or not.
Now they're doing it in Argentina, Brett.
I know.
I know you saw that.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't know is all of this stuff, Brett, saying, don't say nothing about Israel, don't say nothing about the Jews. Is that all to get people to go, wait a minute, why do everybody get to talk about Christians?
Mm-hmm.
Why do everybody get to talk about white people?
Well, maybe we'll get to this point and stuff where people just had enough and say, where's the anti-Christian laws? Where's the anti-white laws? Where are all the things that protect us? When you give every fucking race, every speck of a religion that's around this country, some type of fucking moral narcissism pass because, they're special in some way, and everybody else gets to suffer because what? We're the ones looked at as a minority. And you get tired of this nonsense thinking, when is this going to change? Israeli lobby spends millions and tens of millions of dollars every single year on political races across the country. If you're not 100% pro-Israel, they will run a candidate against you and spend millions. I'm not going to play these. I'm done. John Kirko lays out the case. Epstein was a Mossad asset. The theory is lure powerful people into compromising situations, underage girls. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not sure that he is or was in some way. All I know is that he was a black magic money broker, facilitator in some way to the higher echelon of the globalist elites. All right. And how he was able to procure that position. And along the way, while he was there, he was filming them. He was blackmailing them. He was doing all these wonderful things to make sure that he would get a bigger piece of the pie, have control and leverage, and so that they wouldn't off him in the night. So I think in some way, whatever that relationship was that he had with all these people, and whether they invited him in or they knew of it and they just didn't care, whether he squeezed them or not, didn't matter. And whether or not he was part of Mossad, which I'm not necessarily sure he was. I think he was more along the lines of a British and American intelligence groups. I think so. I think he was part of a clandestine operation that was multinational in some ways. Maybe Mossad's in there or not, but I can't say for certain that it's completely this. I think he was put there, allowed to be there. I mean, what does that say, Bill Barr? What about Bill Barr's father hiring him, as a teacher? All these oddities that are in there that have these causal connections. It's just crazy to think in some way that this guy just pops out of the blue and no one knows who he is, and he starts to just do all these things, and years go by and he's into this and into that and stuff. So he was put in there. He was set up, trained to do this in some way. And then from that, he went another route. Don't know what that route was, but I mean, to say that he's tied to everything that's Mossad and stuff, I'm not sure about that. I'm really not. And that's the one thing I think about. All right.
Yeah, I'm not buying it either.
This is the one thing that really pisses me off as we dip out. I'm going to show you this. Hold on. Let me show you this because you know what? When you look at this right now, you'll understand all of this. Let me turn this down in some way. I mean, it's really disgusting. But when you look back at it, yeah, it was funny. Ha, ha, ha. SNL playing this. 2021, when SNL mocked Q. Which is eating kids so funny? Creepy as fuck. Well, how about real as fuck?
Says there is an underground ring of very bad people, and they gather to undermine Trump and to
Listen
steal
to what
elections
she says.
and to eat children. I hear that and I'm like, whoa, where?
Yeah, it's a very disturbing theory. So what do you do with QAnon?
Well, okay, we try to get to the bottom of things. This underground cabal, what's the deal? Who's part of it? How do you get an invite? Is it reservations or is it open table? Are there enough children to go around? Do you eat them on site or do you take them home? You know, are there dipping sauces so much to uncover?
Ooh, you see that?
Yeah.
Are there dipping sauces and see that?
Yeah, no, it sounds like you're pretty focused on the eating children part of QAnon.
Yes. Says there is an...
That's played well. That's aged well, don't you think, Marshall? That is aged well completely, and here we are now. Truth is more stranger than fiction, but the fact is the art that we see that is portrayed as agitprop mostly is realer than we could possibly imagine.
This is exactly what they do, Brett. What they do is they come back and they mock you. And they try to make a joke out of it and say, oh, you're crazy. Look how stupid you sound. Yeah, we're a witch and all that shit. And yet in the background in that video, you see Got Milk. Yeah, Got Milk. Yeah, what was that all about? I don't see that anymore.
Yep.
That was one of their scams. Then they went to Wayfair or Amazon where they named little cabinets after children.
Yeah.
What's that all about? They drug them. They wrap them up, they pack them, they ship them. You're there within 24 hours, kids drugged, you open it up, you get to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Sick fucking people, Brett.
Yeah.
Evil.
Think about all the ones that are born without birth certificates that you can't trace back. They're basically just unknown.
They have babies out on they breed them. They breed them.
Yep.
And they do it under the radar. And I guarantee you they were doing that. They were doing that at the Epstein Island. I guarantee you they were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to call for an excavation there? Who's going to call for? I mean, I don't know. Did they pick up anything there? Did they dig up anything? Thank you, One Thunder, for the can. Super D for the cookie. I dropped the gold pills. Thanks again, everybody out there. Marshall, your parting thoughts? Yeah.
Trusty Turnip said Got Milk. And were mocking the milk cartons. Actually, they were telling you that's how they used back then in the 80s when they had the kids on the milk cartons. They were using that as a catalog. You want this kid? Just let us know.
I think so. I think so too. It was much more.
Kid? We got him.
Yeah.
Come and let us know, man.
It was the Amber Alert for pedophiles before the Amber Alert went out for us. But really, if you think about who sits on the board of the Amber Alert, the same woman who tried to traffic kids from Haiti that worked for the Clintons. I forget her name. You'll know who that is.
Yeah,
and she changed her last name and stuff. So, all right. Well, that's the end of our show. We will return on Wednesday. I want to thank everybody out there. Have a great night. Thanks for donating. Thanks again, Super D and One Thunder. Who's here on? Let's see on the leaderboard. Thank you, Thea, Wood USA, and One Thunder. Thanks again, guys. Have a good night. God bless. Be well, and just pray. There's a lot more stuff coming out and stuff, and we'll get to the bottom of it. I know I got pushback today. I don't know what it is, man. There's a lot of people that like Steve Bannon, and they have a hard time accepting this. But I said, go read that Last Refuge article, and you'll understand it better. You will understand it better and what it means to understand it. All right. Is this about division or betrayal? That's what you got to consider in this whole shit show of the Epstein files, because a lot of people are looking at it like this is betrayal. This is not something that's a one-off. That's our show. Have a good night. Ciao, Bella, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.
Good night.